I'm lazily sitting in my chair today. So
Yeah, I recognize the chair in the corner.
the chair in the corner. There's all kinds of walls here.
Nobody puts Pete in the corner.
Only Pete is allowed to put Pete in the corner.
Indeed. Hello, Scott. Hello, JJ.
Hi.
You made it.
Hello, JJ. It's been a while.
It has, hasn't it? Yeah.
Happy Wednesday.
I figured I'd come by and say, hey, it's great to see that HangOps is coming back together. It's
Yeah.
good, warm, fuzzy feeling over here.
Excellent. Yeah, I watched your how to live stream stuff video with Mandy a while back, so I could learn how to do all the live streaming stuff.
Nice.
I need to get one of those little button board things. I don't even know what that thing is called.
Yeah, it's called a Stream Deck.
Stream Deck.
Right there. Yes. Yeah. They're sometimes hard to find because there's like a cycle of people buying Stream Decks when they're just getting into streaming and then realizing whether or not it's useful. It's interesting. I actually use it for Spotify more than I actually use it for streaming.
Okay. Yeah. I press the F4 button on my keyboard for Spotify to pause, and then F5 to skip the next song.
Yep. That's the neat part of the Stream Deck is the pause and play button have the album picture.
Oh, neat. Okay.
So
kind of cool. Yeah. I did appreciate your description of OBS as fiddleware, because when I started trying to get it going, I was like, yeah, this is totally fiddleware. We spent, Pete and I spent 10 minutes trying to figure out how to get all the sound from the various things in order to have sound while we were talking, because we could hear each other over Spell Table when we were playing Magic like a couple weeks ago, and nobody on the stream could hear it because it was not getting picked up by OBS.
It was comical, the back and forth and all over the place with getting the things to work.
Yes.
To the surprise of no one. Computers are terrible.
Right? That's why we have HangOps, right? To commiserate about how terrible computers are. Yeah.
They're not great.
Hi, Molly.
Hey, everybody.
Was that a candy cane?
It was. I was realizing maybe not the Zoom friendliest snack, the most Zoom friendly snack, but I've fully moved from I had one popular November holiday to a popular December holiday. The calendar has changed.
I've got all my Christmas lights up. I need to go buy some wreaths and put them on my porch.
Yeah.
All in.
It cannot be seen.
Pictures of that on Slack.
It cannot be seen at the moment because my doors are closed, but my Christmas tree is right there. It's pretty dope.
Oh, so good. So good.
Yeah. Yeah. We got this tree topper at Target. It's like a star, and it has like this LED thing that like spins and displays lights all over the vaulted ceiling. It looks really cool.
Nice.
I'll post pictures in various Slack places
Yeah,
for people to see.
I want to see all of the Christmas decorations.
Yeah, our house is very festive.
Nice.
The tree topper we have is one of the angels from Doctor Who, the Don't Blink one. That's always the last
Nice.
one we put up on top. Yeah. We got it at the Doctor Who experience in Cardiff? ?
I've also been
nice
to Doctor Who
reminder.
experience in Cardiff. the thing, it's a thing to do in Cardiff, which if you like Doctor Who, I recommend.
I stood on the brick expecting to go down to Torchwood. It didn't happen. I was very sad.
I never got into Doctor Who. I feel like I failed as a geek in some way.
I feel like multiple levels of terribleness because I never got into Star Trek. I never got into Dungeons and Dragons, Doctor Who. Just, I missed it all. I don't know what I was doing.
There's still time.
Yeah, you still have time. And there's also so many ways to engage in so many.
Well, now with my kids, I got into Pokemon, the card
nice.
game, because my kids wanted to learn to play. So I asked my, at the time, 12-year-old nephew to teach me how to play Pokemon so I could teach my kids how to play.
Yeah. And now there's Magic the Gathering to
Yeah,
get into.
exactly. That's the new one.
A game that is as old as some of the people I play with, or older. Yeah.
I actually found my old Magic cards, and I don't remember where they fetched up, but I was going to show you at one point, Joshua, because they're all like second edition and a couple of like beta and
Wow. Yeah.
Fallen Empires and that Ice Age, that one.
Ice Age,
And then,
that was a good one.
Dang.
And then like a couple after that I don't remember. That dates when I stopped playing.
Yeah, totally. I played for a couple years in high school and college, and then didn't play for a while. And then post college, when I was making money and when not a poor college student, I spent way too much money on Magic cards. That's always the case, though, right? Like that's just how Magic works. Spent too much money on Magic.
It's just an endless dump of money that you get small pieces of paper for.
Yeah.
If you're willing to do the grind, I hear Microsoft Magic Arena is pretty good now. It was rough when it first started, but it's gotten pretty good.
Yeah, it's a good way to pick up the game. Like it automatically tracks all kinds of stuff for you, so you don't have to remember like what a combat step is and all that sort of thing. So yeah, it's a pretty great way to get started with it. And it's free to play, but that won't last you very long because you'll want to be like, I need better cards. I keep seeing this thing this guy's playing and he just wrecks me with it. I need to get me some of that. And there's no in-game marketplace like there is, like you can just go trade people cards in your local gaming store, but not with the online version there.
I mean, then you're just paying money for an image on a screen.
NFTs.
It's even less than a piece
It's a
of paper.
Web3 joke.
Not even an NFT that I could make money on in the future.
Oh, sorry. I
Sorry.
just wanted to cue that up for the NFT joke. You're welcome.
Well,
My bad.
done.
Thank you, though. Thank you for that softball.
Yeah, Sean,
Too late, Sean.
I think there should be a tacit agreement not to talk about, just in general.
That's a good rule. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah. I think the HangOps Slack has a channel for those topics, and it gets pretty heated, probably.
Is that an energy consumption joke?
Is it a what?
Heyo.
An energy consumption joke. Perfect, Sean. Great.
Wow. Yeah, that brings it back to my tweet yesterday, that you don't have to be a dad to tell dad jokes. You just have to be near a child whose embarrassment will sustain you with joy for life.
So
or even like we're all somebody's child, right? So like even other adults being embarrassed or face palming or anything like that really is.
I'm glad my kids are at the age where I get the eye roll when I do a really good dad joke. Like that's how you know you just nailed it. When
Yeah.
It's like the head tilts back, the eyes fall back, and you're just like, yeah, nailed this.
Yeah. Well, so my son's 15 and he has developed himself quite a sense of humor. And we were in the car the other day driving somewhere and I made a comment and he just like riffs back with the perfect dad joke. And I'm like, and also,
I think the capper on any good dad joke, and this is just me, like if I'm gonna make a dad joke or a bad pun even, which I mean you could argue that the there's
It's
some
the same thing.
overlap or probably same,
It's exactly the same
same-ish.
thing.
Yeah, is I always like to cap that off with the surprise, what is it, the surprise moray eel face for just a little bit too long.
Or the what was it, the husky?
The husky, two different versions of the same
Yeah.
same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty great. That all checks out. So I assume that Sean, you're not on video because you're at reInvent and it's probably busy, right? You're not at reInvent. Got him.
No, I work at a large enterprise. I'm not going to reinvent.
Oh, are you even using AWS? Do large enterprises do that at all?
I live in VMware.
Oh gosh. Has it gotten better? No, that's too bad.
Well, I mean, so if you think about it this way, VMware has probably got a whole heck of a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
Our implementation of it doesn't reflect that in any way.
I mean, does it ever though?
No, probably not.
Because we're still trying to do the same stuff we did in the 80s and 90s on stuff that is, new and fresh. And
I mean, you nailed our tactics. That's right where we are.
yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of stuff lately around building Packer images and shipping golden images of various sorts and Docker containers around. And I'm like, did we just experiment with config management for a minute and then just skip back to golden images again?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, there was a talk that Adrian Cockcroft gave in Austin in what, JJ, was that 2012? Do you remember that one?
That sounds about right. Yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
about right.
Where everybody who I remember seeing at that talk beforehand was like, yeah, config management, we're going to be doing Puppet and we're going to be doing Chef. And Cockcroft was like, hey, y'all, golden images are super rad and we're doing all kinds of them.
Oh, this is the
Netflix.
Netflix stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, nothing's ever going to change.
No,
Not really.
no, because people are addicted to the speed of just stamping out that image and then redeploying it.
I mean, we use elements of that stuff, but of course we have all the rest of the stuff too. Config management, the thing, whatever it is, we just don't implement it in ways that help us actually move fast. And that's my biggest complaint. And not break things, just I want to see velocity through the system increasing based on the usage of those things. And that's my gripe most of the time. But it's cool how none of that ever happens without the people identifying that the root of the problem is the tools.
Or you have 3 different teams using 3 different tools that post provision a golden image that they get accepted, which I have seen firsthand. And I was like, I couldn't process what was happening. And that was on one of the many clouds we have here at IBM.
Yeah, it's curious, right? We want to avoid things like configuration drift and cruft, but when you can just hit a new build and it spits out your image in 5 minutes, does your config drift matter? Does it matter that your golden image library is outdated and stale?
Maybe not if you're taking advantage of it in your production pipelines, and that's where we go wrong. There's all kinds of gates to prevent that from happening, and that if you're using that in your broad pipelines and triggering destroy or rebuild on taint, detection of some sort of deviance and stuff like that, then I don't think it matters what you use, really. At all.
But that golden image is also a point in time, right? Where over time, security build or security patches and all that stuff, you need a way to go through all that. I know with what I've slowly but surely learning about the OpenShift ecosystem, one of the advantages of it is the built-in pipeline of it, where it gives you the best of breed in a lot of ways, where you don't have to think about a lot of that long-term solution, assuming you live in that space, of course.
Well, you
That's
remember the old argument that I think a lot of us tried to sell at one point in time, where like you make your golden image using configuration management to set it all up, and then you press it or whatever and ship it, which like I get that, but I also like, I don't know. It's like, why would you skip that when you have tools like Packer and things like that, where you can just build it into the image creation rather than the, you know, build a thing, run some stuff on it, remove the stuff on it, and then go. I mean, I remember getting Red Hat images back in the day. I'm sure they're better now. Back in the day, and like, you know, they had been created and put together, and you know, all the security been updated and everything like that, but they still had like a Puppet conf directory. So it was like pretty obvious like how they were, you know, doing their config pipeline for their images, which like, that's cool. Like that, I mean, we tried to sell that story at some, you know, I feel like many of us did at some point in time as like, this is the way. But now it's like kind of to your point, like the age of configuration management to a certain degree for some, you know, newer use cases is over. There's still a place for it. There always will, just like there always will be a place for COBOL and AIX, but it's kind of in that like, we're moving past it as a overall cloud computing world thing.
An interesting thing to think about for me is like, why did we have configuration management? Like, what were we doing with it? We were making sure that all of our base systems had their security policy and their other policies applied. But anymore, any organization that's deploying their applications into container spaces like Kubernetes or OpenShift or anything else, they don't care about the OS. They don't care about an SSHD config being correct and having all the right settings or having your ciphers there. All they care about is that the application is available on the port that it's listening on. Like, why do we even care about half of that stuff when the Kubernetes control plane provides that secure layer, supposedly, right? Those still run on an OS, right?
But here's the thing though, is that not everybody is there, and not everybody has customers that are there. Like that's still like bleeding edge for enterprises for anything like that. And so, you know, looking at that, it's like, yes, that is true for the folks who can do that and are in that problem space, but there's still a majority, and I'm totally pulling numbers out of my butt here, but I would argue that there's probably a majority of people who are like, I do need to make sure that this runs on my Red Hat 8 fleet. You know, your piece of software that you're providing. It's like, I do care about the operating system at this point in time. I need to make sure that it does run in Amazon Linux too, or whatever the case may be. And that space is large.
We have containers running on EL6. Like that. It's kind of awesome.
That's magical.
It is. Like, why do we do this? Oh, because the machine provisioning part is still really hard. Just like you're saying, Scott. I think it would be interesting to take a straw poll of all of our sales colleagues and say, you know, like, can you answer these questions about your pre-sale engagements? Can you answer these, you know, like, anonymize, just give me the rundown on what folks' maturity level is. Be really interesting.
Yeah, it would, because if you pay attention to startup landia, everything is in containers, everything's in Kubernetes, and startups, there's not a startup out there, like actual startups, like A-series companies that have the scale that requires building something on top of a control plane like Kubernetes. Like, it's a layer of complexity that everybody doesn't need. But it's cool and it's agile, it's hip, it's fast, and it's the latest things. I feel like there's a blog post in here somewhere.
And when you put it,
Heroku still exists.
yeah,
Yep.
Heroku, what's Vercel? Is it Vercel? That's also a similar Heroku waypoint. There's a number of very similar things that are like, I want a
PCF.
website. Yeah, I want a website and I want it now and I want it to look like this. Here's my code. Make it happen. I don't care about anything else. Like, there's a place for that and there always will be.
Beanstalk, does that count? Or I guess that's too heavyweight.
I think now it's like Fargate, right? It's like I have a container, I want to run it, you know. And honestly, Fargate is probably the best option for most teams. Just got a container, want to run it, Fargate. Or I mean, let's be honest, Heroku. Just push it to Heroku.
Yep. Like
not Code
that-
Engine from IBM. Nothing.
Right, sorry, JJ.
Sorry, JJ.
Oh.
There's
What was the other one that Amazon has besides Fargate? Like just running in container, it's what, ECS?
ECS, yeah.
Yeah.
And they have a new one now too. I'm spacing on what it is. Like, they just, I think, announced it like at reInvent. I don't remember what it was. I think there's another one. I don't know, could be wrong. It's probably ECCS or EKCS or some, you know.
RC Gate S
Yeah,
K
yeah.
8
It's
something.
basically you run a container, but behind the scenes is Kubernetes with Fargate. I don't know. I'm just making shit up now. I don't know what it is.
I mean,
They just
that's
announced.
sad. There's definitely Fargate on EKS or EKS on Fargate. It's one of those things that exists for some reason. Probably just because like I've got a bunch of YAML and like I've got my Helm stuff and I want to like do a thing, and then maybe you push it there. I've never used it, but I'm sure it exists because of course.
The thing that kind of puzzles me about that is like we're having the conversation, you say, oh yeah, there's not a startup that blah blah blah, and then I think about one particular friend of JJ and mine's in the Austin community who was hopping the startups for like 3 years, and the stories that he would tell about the tech stacks, it's not the hyper modern thing. Like, you know, you hear, oh, we're just doing raw EC2 and like basic database stuff. I thought you were supposed to be startup-y and serverless and stuff. What's the deal?
Well, there's the stuff you blog about, and then there's your actual infrastructure.
Yeah,
That's the damn truth.
Yeah, at the end of the day, isn't it just like you're using a provisioner of some sort, Terraform or Pulumi or something like that, to make EC2 images, and you got an RDS backend?
Terraform or Pulumi. Mine's all a bunch of bash scripts with the AWS CLI commands in it.
Hey, yeah, well, you know, go old school. Like, refuse to get with the times, man.
Yeah, I just click on the console until something happens.
I love yeah, that would be a great OH, by the way, Molly. Somebody tweet that. I'm gonna have to remember that as things that Joshua hates in terms of yeah, don't add infrastructure provisioners, KPIs. We'll find some other ones. It'll be fun.
Unfortunately, y'all, I gotta disappear. I got a 30. So hi, everybody.
Good to see you, JJ.
Good to see you,
Hi,
JJ.
JJ.
Thanks for joining us.
Decorations.
Yeah. So I looked at my phone this morning and saw that it's already December, and I wondered what happened to the rest of the months in this year.
you going to bring violence to the table today, Joshua?
Yeah, I know. I mean, is it like I can't believe it's going to be 2022 since yesterday it was like March 1st, 2020. So what
Yeah.
is time? I don't know. I don't know.
I think one of my favorite things that came out of the whole pandemic, like for memes and jokes, is that somebody made like a calendar it's March 642nd or something like that.
Yeah,
I can't find it anymore.
What day in March is it? .com.
Yeah. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
What day?
Although I think that they may have stopped it when there was the sort of pandemic dip at the end of the early summertime before things went, oh wait, no. What day of March is it? Yeah.
Yeah, because what day in March is it? It says it's the 1st of December. Wow, today is March 641st. I don't know what I said a moment ago, but I think it was pretty close.
The only good thing about it being December is hold on. I'm joking, pausing for comedic effect. I do like the if you use Spotify, which I have mixed feelings about because they don't pay artists, but you know, also etc. That aside, they have that like, this is what you listened to this year, and here's all these things and genres. I do enjoy that. That's always a surprise to me. I mean, it wouldn't be a surprise for you, Joshua, because it would just be KMFDM all the way down the thing. But like for me,
it actually
always,
wasn't. For me,
wow.
My most played artist was the Fat Rat, because the Fat Rat, he's like a dubstep type, chip tunes ish sort of artist. No lyrics, so it's really good when I'm reading things. I can't listen to something that has lyrics, even if it's something I've listened to a bazillion times, and read something. And you know, like most of what I do if I'm not in a Zoom is reading.
I love how Sean and I both went like this.
I feel like I have like data entry music, which can have lyrics. And then I have writing music / sound. And like the most like intense writing work and reading work that I do, but it's usually if I'm writing, because I can listen to like jazz or classical music while I'm reading. If I'm writing and I'm like really deep in it, there's this YouTube video that's 24 hours, a 24-hour loop of the background engine noise from TNG, from Star Trek The Next Generation. And it's like maybe it's probably in the top 10 nerdiest videos on YouTube.
Does it have like the little computer bleeps and stuff too?
No, it's just the hum. Noise. It's just the hum. It's just the hum. But like, but I get a lot of work done. It really puts you in in the workspace. You're just a member of the Federation and you're working without pay.
Yeah.
And there's no such thing as money, and you can have an ice cream sundae whenever you want.
That sounds glorious.
Right.
I decided to click on the Wrapped thing.
Yeah.
And my number one artist is Men I Trust, Canadian, because they have lyrics, but also their vibe is pretty chill and I can write to it or data entry to it or whatever. But my top 5 songs are all from a snail mail album that my kid says, "Hey Dad, play this," every single time we get in the car. Like, so
yeah, the
data's all skewed.
The KMFDM playlist I have the most plays of is also the one that I listen to when I'm making slides, because I listened to that back when I was like sitting on airplanes and doing nothing but making slides for chef training stuff. And yeah, like it just puts me in a groove for that.
Yeah, the problem with the Spotify dilly bobber is I can never quite find the, like, I can find the top songs one, but I can't ever find the like other, there's more stuff that I see people like sharing of like, you've listened to this many artists and you've listened, they're the weird statistics, but I can never find those. I think they might be on the website itself. You have to log into the website or something.
I think they
mobile app maybe.
Is it on the
but it's
mobile
like
app?
easy
Yeah, they
to, like,
want you to use the mobile app.
share.
Yeah,
I do
don't know.
use the mobile app, but
I feel like since my kids generally like will listen to, like, they have their own accounts now, because like for a while it was like your top albums are Kids Bop, and I'm like, oh god. And then we transitioned where like we got a family account, they all had their own accounts, but then for bedtime they'll be like, they'll want to listen to a song from like their playlist. My daughter, who is now 10, is very much into like popular music, and so you can imagine that like my playlist is music that like I have come to enjoy because I listen to it all the time, but it's a mixture between like Hamilton or Olivia Rodrigo or Dua Lipa. I got the whole mixture of like Broadway to like pop artists.
So for HangOps throwback, do you remember like kind of right around the time when the video chats were getting started, Brandon would talk about how his kids got him into Taylor Swift?
I don't remember that.
I don't, but it makes sense because like
Yeah.
I mean I'm into Taylor Swift because my kids listen to it. And I'm like, yeah, this is great. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I don't have any excuse other than I like it.
It was between Brandon talking about it and Jill talking about it that I was like, okay, I'm not going to judge this at all. I'm just going to listen. It was worth it.
Yeah, it helps that I started with the Folklore and the other album that she released like right around that time, which are like less poppy and more sort of acoustic folky, which I appreciate. But then going in the back catalog, I was like, yeah, this is pretty good too. Yeah. Let me do it.
I have a jams playlist where I put all my favorite songs that are basically not KMFDM because that just all lives in its own section. But yeah, the jams playlist has a number of songs from Taylor Swift, Lady Gaga, Katy Perry. They're all in there. It's lovely and wonderful. Alongside with like
mix.
Trash alternative from the 90s, like Goo Goo Dolls and Nirvana and Pearl Jam and all that stuff.
Yeah, a friend of mine created a Spotify playlist called oh god, I always script the name of it. It's like 90s alt disaster, and I can't think of anything that is more accurate than this list.
Yes. It could also be called Clear Channel played this on repeat.
Yeah. I don't know what it is about like the brain's plasticity at different points, but like I anything that was on like top 40 radio for like a 3-year period between like 1999 and 2002, I somehow, even if I didn't like it, even if I wasn't paying attention to it, I somehow know every single word,
Yep.
every single song.
Yep.
And I think about like the space that takes up in my brain alongside all of the ads and like ad copy, ad jingles that also are somehow within my brain rent free. I would love to get that space back.
Oh yeah.
I don't need to know every word to Kryptonite, but
here you are knowing all the words to Kryptonite.
Yeah, that's rough.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, and like I can't recall those kinds of songs like off the top of my head, but as soon as they start playing somewhere, I'm like jamming right along.
I'll switch. I will absolutely skip, turn dial, whatever needs to be done to avoid certain, and by certain I mean most of those. Although it is funny how that works out. That thing that you're saying, Molly, because like I was listening the other day to the new Adele album, which is quite good, in fact.
Yeah, great.
And going through and being like, all right, cool. And then I was talking to my partner about it, and she was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, I was listening to this album, and she was like, oh no, I'm not going to do that. And I'm like, okay, like that was a strong reaction to that. And then she's like, yeah, remember I worked at Starbucks for like X amount of time when that one Adele album came out. So I heard it on repeat every day, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, okay, that's fair. You're allowed to not like it.
Yeah. Speaking of choosing violence, I see that Sean has chosen violence in the chat. We're not going to speak the words that he typed there, but yeah, I actually like that song. Guilty pleasure of mine.
It doesn't have to be guilty.
Yeah, it can be guilt.
I feel a little bad.
Guilt free.
Yeah. I think we were talking on HangOps a couple weeks ago about the stuff that lives in my brain rent free, that like I can't remember certain things that I should, like that I need to pay the mortgage, which that I have a reminder and it's automatically done. But aside from that, like doing adulting stuff versus I remember obscure VXFS commands sometimes, and I'm like, why is this here? What can I push this out of memory entirely?
I was actually having almost exactly this conversation yesterday with some friends about like I forget to that, like I get the reminders on my phone. I like you need to go to the pharmacy and pick up your pills. Hooray! And then they text like every day that you don't, and so it's a pretty constant reminder. But I keep forgetting about it, and there I was like, yeah, if only I could get back some of that thing, that space in my brain where I know how to version symbol tables in Solaris 10 when you're compiling like any piece of software on the different versions of the kernel. That would be cool if I had that back.
Yeah,
because
totally.
That's not something that I really need in life.
Yeah. I was at the game store last night playing Magic the Gathering, as I do, and I had these kinds of conversations with friends there, but it was all about old obscure rulings on cards from like that nobody plays anymore. Yeah.
Swamp Thing, 8/8 trample.
Force of nature.
Force of nature. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Also sad that I knew that because that card hasn't been printed in a very long time and it's terrible.
We've got like 5 of them.
Yeah. Now I'm going to go look it up because that's just how I am.
Yeah. This will tell you, like, when I looked the last time, I still had like decks constructed, like put together that were probably from 1993, maybe 95, somewhere in that range. And no, it would have been 93. And I know this because remember that Trash Alternative, bringing that back around, that Kurt Cobain was still alive when this, because we're listening to a lot of Nirvana.
Right.
Yeah. So that I had a Saproling deck and it was still there. And I was like, this is a Saproling deck. Nice. Yeah. That was so annoying. Wow. I was a little shit.
My favorite deck currently involves Saprolings, so I'm highly amused by that. But
for those of you who don't play Magic, they're very small creatures that you can spin out many of them.
They're little fungus guys.
They're extremely annoying to play against.
Yeah. The thing about the music on like from Clear Channel and all that 90s trash disaster and all that whole thing that is interesting is there was I think it was a series of tweets that went around on like Facebook a few weeks ago, and it explained like what happened there, and I'm like, yeah, I don't need the explanation of what happened, I lived through that. But it's apparently important for those of the younger generation to understand why music is terrible.
Yeah, but is it though?
No, music is lovely and wonderful, but like
why it went from being why the charts, the popular music charts, went from being interesting and a wide variety to like three things for 10 plus years.
Yeah.
I mean, there was still good music.
Yes.
But the charts didn't.
I think I may have been one of those asshole hipsters that whole time, though, who didn't really listen to the top, like the chart things ever.
We always had so I worked in college, was that time frame for me, and I worked at a custom computer builder, and we had music on in the office, but it had to be something like it just had to be radio, because that way there wasn't any like negative connotations of anybody coming in. We're not going to offend somebody because they don't like certain types of music. So like just putting on the alternative radio station was fine. And all those songs got it in my ear and just kept my memory forever.
Also, you don't need a separate performance license if it's on the radio.
That's true. Yeah, we could just like play it. But yeah, the number of times I heard that song that you quoted in there, Sean, oh my gosh. So many. And then we do LAN parties with the MP3 swap.
Oh yeah. I had one of those Discmans that played MP3 CDs, so I could put the MP3s on, like burn it, and then put it on. Like that was the jam.
Oh yeah.
Until my cat decided that I hadn't cleaned the litter boxes enough, and very, very intentionally went to the Discman that was sitting on a pile of like a couple of things on the couch, like a jacket and stuff, and made full eye contact with me and squatted and peed all over it.
God.
Like full eye contact. Like, I'm doing this. You're not cleaning. This is on you.
You chose violence.
So Joshua, I see that you tweeted out the wonderful OH. There's the stuff you blog about, then there's your actual infrastructure.
Yes.
You tweeted that out 20 minutes ago. I just got a message from a friend of mine. Lol, was that you? And I was like, God, I'm like, yes. How did you know? And he just goes, yeah, it just sounded like something you would say, to be honest. And I'm like, yeah, I've probably said that before.
Yep.
So I'm with you, Molly. I want a t-shirt of that. We're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. The next Alma t-shirts, obviously.
This is a shameful thing. Well, somewhat shameful, but also very amusing, in my opinion. This person that I know from college, like, sent me a message on Twitter, and I haven't talked to this person or anyone from college since I was in college. And so I was like, okay, who are you? Like, I don't, and they're like, are you Scott who went to, this college? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, are you the Scott that once said at a party, it's funny when you fail? And I'm like, that sounds like something I would have said back then. I've become less of an ass. And it turned out it was somebody that I did know, and that is probably something that I would have said at a party, a CS club ACM party back in the day. I could still see myself saying that to some people in a joking manner, for friends and stuff.
Have we exhausted all topics?
I want to know if anybody had any surprises in their Spotify end of year roundup.
Danger Doom. Danger Doom? Danger Doom.
Is that a artist song?
I think it's the collaboration between Danger Mouse and MF Doom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my Lord.
It's really good.
It is really good. And I remember what happened. I was sitting I was getting a sandwich, and I don't know why, but I didn't have internet signal. And so I was like, I want to listen to something, but I didn't have anything downloaded from Bandcamp. So I went over into Spotify and went into the downloads and just scrolled randomly and hit play. And it was Benzie Box off that album. And I was like, hell yeah. And I think I listened to that album for like 3 straight days. It's good.
I'm going through my list now. Honestly, I'm not surprising at all. I'm a big Pink Floyd fan, and at some point in the past year, someone had mentioned like which live performance of Pink Floyd's is the best, and why is it the Pulse live version? And I was like, oh, I haven't listened to that in a while. And of course, I go and listen to it, and I'm like, the 10-minute rendition of Comfortably Numb. I'm like, oh yeah, it's just on repeat. It's like that is my background noise of the guitar solo from that one. So that one popped on the list. But honestly, I think I'm most surprised by just how 100% of the Hamilton album has fit into my top songs. Like every single song from Hamilton is pretty much on that list, because that just within the household was just playing nonstop. And then it came out on Disney Plus when we were kind of like, oh, maybe it's over. And then it came out on Disney Plus, and it was all Hamilton all the time.
Yeah, my number one song is Island Life, which is off of I found this, what's it called? Tropical House Instrumental playlist. It's like 7.5 hours. So it's like a perfect, like full working day of time. And it's just all like, there's a couple songs that have like sampled or short vocals, but it's not like full lyrics or anything. It's just additional parts of the music that are not going to be distracting really. But yeah, that is the first song on that list. So every time I start it up, then or restart it, then I guess I got counted. So I was a little surprised that was the number one song, because I'm sure that I've started my KMFDM playlist. But then I had the realization that most of the time when I'm in the car, Apple Music plays from my phone rather than Spotify first. So Apple Music has like KMFDM and New Order and like all that 90s garbage. And so that doesn't get picked up by Spotify, of course.
Yeah, my number one song is a really depressing indie rock song about basically like not being able to pay rent and buy a house, and being in your 30s to 40s and not having medical insurance, and trying to move to different towns, and rich people getting richer and poor people getting poorer, and etc. Number one played song.
I actually don't subscribe to Apple Music. I share a Spotify playlist with my partner, but most of the music I listen to are good old sound files that are physically on my iPhone. And so
wow.
there is, part of it is like I'm on the subway. I'm in a not recently, but I like to be as a general rule, like I'm in a different country. I'm in a place without, I'm in a place without service. So I like having my files with me wherever I go. And so, yeah, I don't have a a service that's getting a very accurate slice of my actual habits, which is also my preference. So
true.
The data that Spotify has for this shared account is like very skewed. I find that when I'm listening to Spotify, it's because I don't have a copy of something, and often it's like really weird stuff, like obscure Halloween songs from the 1960s, and like I wouldn't be surprised if like Spooky Scary Skeletons was like my number one played song for 20.
There's a dance version of that song that my daughter had as part of her like dance troupe or whatever. And if you think that song's addicting as it is in the 60s version, add a good beat to it, and it's like to the 300th degree. It's
Pete,
so good.
I've already listened to the to that version. I've listened to the remix. I'm all about
glorious.
Skeletons.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna have to check this out. Apparently, I've never heard of this.
it's just a classic. It's a classic Halloween song.
It's got some good bass to it when you play it too. It's like, oh yeah. Just don't listen to the Kids Bop version. That's not good.
That's just good advice.
Yeah, I feel you on the having songs on actual files on the phone, because that's what my Apple Music is just it's all my old CD rips that I have on there.
But is it stored? Is it stored in a cloud, or is it?
It's on the phone.
It's on the phone.
Yeah.
I remember reading once, and this may no longer be the case, but like when the service first started, I remember reading like a couple of, or when the service was inaugurated or debuted, people talking about like, having ripped all of their CDs painstakingly and converted them into like MP3 files, etc. And then Apple did something to them. And so it was like hard to get the files back. So I was like, I will never sign up for this service. I must protect my precious MP3s. So I've been in that state, but I'm sure things have changed since that initial.
Probably not.
I hope so.
I think Google explicitly never did, because when they were advertising, put your MP3 collection in the cloud and we'll store it for you. I think I did it with like 2 albums, and recognized that they had changed my 320 BPS to like a 96 BPS version. It's like, okay, forget this.
Depended on which tier of like pay you did, because if you did the Google
this
Play
was pre
music,
any of that.
Oh really?
This was like
the old yeah.
It was the first time, and then I remember reading like every single time they changed it when I was paying attention, that they never did really fix that. Like they fixed it in a lot of cases, and you could be 80% sure, but not 100% sure that they were going to do that.
Yeah, I was really sad when the Google Play Music like stopped its thing because, or became YouTube Music or whatever the hell that garbage is. Because I really like I had a lot of CDs. It was like where I put my money, and I shared a lot of music with friends that I legally purchased back in the day. So I have about 1.5 terabytes of MP3s, all at pretty decent things, all bit rates, and all of them, as you were saying, Molly, kind of like named to my exact specifications, with the ID3 tags corrected.
So long doing that.
So long doing that. And I tried doing the Apple thing, and it changes the names of the files, it changes the ID3 tags, it adds a bunch of shit, and I was like, oh no, this is not okay.
You know what doesn't do any of that if you don't let it? Plex. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I love Plex.
I need to like do something about that, and like how I can figure out how I can like make it work on my like stream phone. I'm sure there are many tutorials, but
there are the information is out there.
Going back to that thing where like I'll remember that, I won't remember that, but I will remember symbol tables and ZFS commands to make my tank work again. And
yes, indeed.
I need to go get a beverage before my next meeting. So
all right,
lovely to see y'all.
I was gonna say thanks for coming in.
And then you didn't unmute fast enough?
No, I was click clattering, typing away.
Yeah.
I should also go because I owe Jennifer an article about stuff.
Yeah, a cis advent.
Yeah, I'm authoring this time instead of editing, so
Very cool.
I better make it halfway worthwhile.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Sean.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye. And then there were 4.
Yeah. It's just us. But it's,
Yeah.
I think, perfect timing as it's 1:56 and
It is.
we've hit the time.
We've been streaming for, I don't know, 57 minutes or something.
We did it, everyone.
We made it happen. Maybe next week we'll have some folks on who actually went to reInvent, and they will tell us all the really silly acronyms that they learned along the way.
Forward
Oh, yeah.
that- all the hot goss from the conference floor.
Yes, of course.
Oh, exactly. All right.
All right. Have a good
Talk
one.
to you later.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.